named them beach troop.
The lake plays an important role in the daily life of the troop. Youngsters, now wary of the waves, may swim when the water is calm. Here on the beach, they receive part of their introduction to troop life. Play can be fiercely competitive, the earliest test of strength and aggressiveness. From observing their play, we can often guess which of the baboons will be dominant and which will be subordinate. During play, the young baboon learns the strengths and weaknesses of his peers and begins to discover his niche in this society. He also learns, when play turns to aggression, how he may be protected by his family. With a threatening yawn and eyebrows flashing white, a juvenile confronts a youngster who finds safety in his brother's arms. For protection, a youngster may regularly turn to one particular adult male. Grinner is the highest-ranking male of all. He is the leader of Beach Troop, and when he confronts a subordinate male, he forces him to relinquish his place. This act of displacement is a reminder to the troop of Grinner's power and status.
Mother protecting her infant.
The newest member of Beach Troop was only 2 weeks old. We named him Algy. Auntie, a female who had not yet born an infant, was irresistibly drawn to Algy. Apricot, Algy's mother, was extremely apprehensive, but her anxiety was allayed when Auntie began to groom her. It seemed, though, that this was but a device by which to reach the infant. Grooming is a most important activity in baboon social life, maintaining individual bonds among the troop. But for Auntie, it was apparently a ploy to get at Algy. Apricot was not to be deceived. She held the infant close, and Algy, having been disturbed, began to suckle. Auntie was still determined to hold the infant, and Algy was caught in a tug-of-war. Finally, Auntie had the infant she had tried so hard to get, and inexplicably cast it aside. Perhaps she was trying to show Apricot that she did not mean to kidnap the infant. But apparently Apricot wasn't taking any chances.
Grabs little Algy from his mother and carries him off.
With an infant in his arms, this low-ranking male was in little danger of attack, as his aroused and aggressive superiors continued their free-for-all, and the consort still defended his female. As long as the young male held on to Algy, he would probably be safe from the fighting around him. It was obvious that the young male had had little experience carrying an infant. But fearful of attack, he held on to Algy. Algy was only 3 weeks old and had never been so far from his mother before. As the tension around the embattled female and her consort appeared to diminish, the young male began to lose interest in Algy. At this age, Algy was barely able to crawl. Unable to reach his mother, he tried to seek comfort from his abductor, who now seemed to ignore him. Algy looked for his mother and cried. Apparently, the young male was still reluctant to relinquish Algae, yet he could barely cope. And poor Algae hung on for dear life as his mother approached, powerless to help. Although Apricot's eyelids flashed in threat, she could not attack a male. As Algae's captor sat down, Apricot approached from the rear, keeping her distance. As the tension on the beach subsided, Algae was allowed to return to the security of his mother. His ordeal was over. Now, with special interest, we would follow his progress. 1-year-old Mango was satisfied neither by plants nor fish. Constantly he pursued his mother, trying to suckle, but Marigold was weaning him. For Mango, this was a difficult time. It was not that he needed milk. He was upset by his mother's rejection. By rejecting Mango's attempts to nurse, Marigold would force him to become more independent. By this time, Marigold probably had little, if any, milk to offer him. Yet Mango persisted. Nagging and moaning, he was relentless. Finally, Marigold could take it no more. Sometimes the weaning process lasts for months. For the baboons of Gombe, the oil palm holds a favorite delicacy. Baboons may store the gathered palm nuts in special pouches in their cheeks to be eaten at leisure. The palm nuts are rubbed on their wrists to clean them of sand and dirt. Baboons are very fastidious about their food. One of their favorite foods creates a special problem. It comes in incredibly sticky pods. Pieces of the pod get into the baboon's fur and stick to their hands and lips. But this problem was to lead to one of our most exciting discoveries. We had seen chimps using tools to clean themselves, but never baboons. So we were amazed one afternoon to see a young baboon pick up a stone to wipe his hands of sticky pods. He was, in fact, using a tool. We have found that a single fight between 2 baboons can lead to a dozen others. In such a chain reaction, a young juvenile began to bully Mango. Mango was frightened. Aware of the tension within the troop, he sought reassurance from Marigold. For a time, she tolerated Mango's renewed attempts to suckle. She seemed preoccupied with her search for fish. Then, suddenly, she turned on him. Moses, an adult male, was attracted by Mango's cries. Mango ran from his mother. Marigold had nipped him on the hand. He sought comfort from Moses, his male protector. And Moses groomed the infant, quieting and reassuring him. Fudge kept stirring up trouble, creating chaos on the beach. While the fighting raged around him, Mango looked to Moses for security. And close to the big male, he now seemed quite content to eat fish. Old Fudge was relentless in his agitation. Looking for fish, Moses wandered off, leaving Mango on his own. Suddenly, Mango was attacked by a young juvenile, and almost as suddenly Moses came to his aid. Mango's troubles were not over. One attacker had been driven off, but when Mango returned to his protector, both would bear the brunt of Fudge's aggression. Marigold, Mango's mother, found him lying on the beach. Sometime during the skirmishes, he had been bitten in the back. He was seriously wounded. Now, at the end of the day, Algy and the others began to make their way back into the forest to the safety of their sleeping trees. Marigold could not know how badly Mango was hurt. She went to join the troop and left Mango alone to follow as he always had before. Algy still was young enough to ride, but Mango was expected to walk, and so he tried, with one leg almost paralyzed. For a few moments, Marigold waited for Mango before moving on. Faltering now, Mango still tried to catch up. Then, exhausted, he had to stop. Later, he would try to go on. Now, when Mango found his mother, she no longer prevented his suckling. We were convinced that Marigold was once again producing milk to feed her crippled youngster. With both legs now paralyzed, Mango could no longer sit astride his mother's back. He could only cling to her desperately. As we followed Mango for more than a week, we began to believe that he had a chance, that though crippled, he might survive. Marigold would often go off and leave Mango stranded. It seemed she never quite understood just how helpless he really was. Marigold responded to Mango's cries and returned to help Mango down. In his helplessness, Mango, like an infant, clung to his mother from below. As we watched Mango's suffering, there was a great temptation to try to help him, but we didn't dare. We would have been instantly attacked by the entire troop. We might have destroyed their trust and terminated our study. And we could only watch helplessly as Marigold wandered off in search of food, leaving Mango behind once more. For a long time they waited. Marigold had been feeding in the forest nearby, and when she arrived, Moses was able to go his way. When Marigold found that Mango was unable to follow her, she picked him up and carried him into the forest. For 10 days we had followed Mango's struggle, but now it was over. He was to die in the forest, and we were never to see him again.
Early one morning, an unfamiliar, solitary baboon is observed walking along the shore. He is slowly moving toward the range Beach Troop regards as its own.
We have not yet discovered why young adult male baboons leave their home troops and try to achieve dominance in neighboring ones. Each has his own technique for gaining admission. Sometimes they fail and have to move on. We wondered how this one would fare. For several days, the stranger, a huge male, kept his distance and observed the troop. One morning, we noticed the stranger moving closer. It was an exciting moment as we watched him take a position on the outskirts of the troop. Still a good distance away, he was not yet an imminent threat, and the troop, though conscious of his presence, went on feeding. All but the very young ignored him. Only a few curious juveniles approached the stranger, but before he could join the troop, stranger would have to confront the troop's adult males. After more than a week of watching stranger hovering around the periphery of Beach Troop, we suddenly saw him make his move into the troop. Stranger advanced past the youngsters and females, who had nothing to fear from him, directly into the heart of Beach Troop, and a face-to-face confrontation with the troop's dominant males. He sat down and waited. To the dominant males, stranger was an intruder, an outsider suddenly seated in the very midst of their troop, and it caused great tension and turmoil amongst them. Stranger stood his ground. As much as size or strength, a basic ingredient of dominance is bluff. The constant grinding of his teeth revealed that stranger too was nervous. Stranger's greatest advantage was that he was unknown. The others had never seen him fight. They had no idea how powerful he was, or what his weaknesses might be.
The show.
During the battle, Grinner had remained aloof. Now, to the leader of the troop, Stranger made a submissive gesture, and Grinner responded. Stranger had a place in Beach Troop. As we watched Stranger's progress, we were seeing him very much as the troop did, a powerful, determined animal, feared by the males, attractive to the females. But before reaching this social position, Stranger, like Grinner before him, had had to leave his own troop to achieve high rank. It is the young prime male entering a new troop and eventually confronting the existing leader, who becomes the new, undisputed ruler of a troop.
And its behavior.
Beyond our scientific interest, individual members of Beach Troop seem to have become part of our lives. We had observed little Algy grow from birth. Now he was old enough to try to join his friend Pumpkin on an old fishing boat. Pumpkin made it look easy to climb aboard. Pumpkin was back and tried to help. Algy was determined. He would not give up. Finally, he'd made it, and only a few weeks before, he could barely climb aboard his mother's back. Who knows? Perhaps we'll see the day when Algy will become the ruler of the troop.